Yo, this is Art the Architect with More Than a Haircut podcast. Coming live to the lineup is Rob Boyd. Hey man, if you don't mind, introduce yourself, bro.
Man, I'm Rob Boyd, originally from Durham, North Carolina. In the professional world, they know me as a financial education specialist. Just to get down to it, I help people understand all the basics they need to know about money, investing, saving, all that good stuff. And just learned it throughout my life and all the trials and tribulations, and just kind of learn money the hard way. And here to teach the rest of the world.
So you can help me become a millionaire or billionaire.
I know exactly what you got to do. I'm doing it right now myself.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So you are you a Tar Heel or a Dookie?
Oh, I'm a Tar Heel for sure.
You
I
sound,
can't
sound like
like that's serious business. Where I'm from, but no, I'm a Tar Heel.
for real. I
Yeah,
I went on I was a hooper, but I went on a college tour, not for the basketball. I wish it was for basketball
right.
today. But yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, my brother a big Tar Heels fan, man.
Yeah, no, that's my. If I were to go to a school in North Carolina, I would have wanted to go to either Carolina or A&T. Um, but I ended up going to Howard. But definitely got love for the Tar Heels.
Hmm.
Family, a lot of family members went there, so I definitely got. I know some people that went to Duke, and it's just you can't mix the two.
I got you, man. So I want to start off with a quote and with a question that you posed.
Okay.
So it said or one of the quotes is from Amplify that I found. It said an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, and
Yeah.
I personally agree with that because man, Ashley Fox, that little guy that just walked by,
Uh huh.
Ashley Fox was talking about Christmas. Don't invest your money into into the toys. Make an investment for their future. And I was like, all right, what should I do? So son was talking about he wanted some Jordans, but I didn't do it for Christmas. I did it for his birthday.
Okay.
I want some Jordans. So I was like, well, hey dude, you gonna have to come to the barbershop and work if I'm about to buy some Jordans, because my folks was like, man, we ain't buying no name brand shoes. So Ashley was on, I think she was on the news or something. She was talking. And I'm like, man, that's a brilliant idea. So I said, I invested in a Nike for him. I
Okay.
got to go work at the shop, but you got to give me at least $20 towards the stock. And it was like 60 some dollars at the time, Nike.
Yeah.
He came in, worked, made more than the $20. I was like, keep the rest, just give me some money towards it. I sold some shares of stock. Now he got the Nike stock. Now it's worth like 145. And we got in
Okay.
it. So it was just like, now you are owner of a company. And
Right.
not only is he an owner, my daughter is too. She got share stock in Microsoft. So I was just glad to get started. But the question is, it starts off the pandemic gave us more free time than we've ever had. If you didn't commit to bettering your money without life's typical distractions, how do you expect to do it when things pick back up? Like,
Yeah, man. That was on my brain all day one day recently, and I know for a lot of people, this pandemic was a rude awakening
hmm
in relation to just where you might be financially, and you might not been in the best spot when this all started. So we can all have an idea of where you might be at the moment.
yeah,
But one of the things I also thought about was, regardless of what may be going on financially, we all had some type of extra time on our hands at
mhm,
some point over the last 9 months, whether you was sitting in the house or watching Netflix, or I mean all the things that we typically did to pass time when
yeah,
we couldn't necessarily go outside, especially early on. And I just thought to myself, like, while that was happening, it's just a choice, it's just a decision away that we could have been doing something to come out of this whole pandemic on a better end, when it's all over. And
yeah.
I just was sitting with that because I was asking myself, like, what did I do
hmm
to really push myself forward, to some of the things I want to achieve. And I noticed in some cases I was working on it, and in other cases, you just got to get some personal time. And just this last year was just weird in a lot of different ways. And so, but I also knew, like, we could have carved out some time, not all of it. You didn't have to go super on the deep end, but carved out some time, whether it's starting a business and figuring out the first steps to that while we was inside, or
Mhm.
saving money because you're not going out as much and really doing it and putting the money somewhere productive, and not necessarily just sitting in a savings account, which is something we can do to save, but we got to find other ways to make our money work.
Yeah,
And I was just thinking about that. I'm like, man, this was the opportunity of a lifetime
really was.
that was disguised in panic,
Yeah.
that we could have really like stacked some money up if you had the blessing of being able to continue to make money during the pandemic, which I know was effective for some people,
Mhm.
but stacking money up, or kind of just saying, all right, everything's quiet right now. I can bust out the end of this when we were back outside with a new business, with a new venture, with a new direction on life. And that's just, like I said, a decision away.
Man, listen, my first form of business was I had been in the garden since I was like 5 with my grandmother.
Okay.
I had some sunflower seeds that I had been, I tried to plant a few years ago and it didn't happen. But I got around an elder that he had been growing food for over 40 years, and not just growing food, but doing a garden. And that was one of the first moves I made. I also got into coding, like making video games and stuff. So I
Okay.
was, just messing around
Yeah.
on and not really, you know, I uh I lost I lost some money, you know what I'm saying? In the stock market, I gained some. I saw some moves that I made some moves and I'm like, I wish I would have just stuck to the plan, but it just made me better. I invested into books, a lot of literature, a lot of stuff on financial literacy too. So it's just like one of the books is in fact it's two of them. Who Stole My Pension, by
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki. That's like a Bible to me. And I just
Uh-huh.
this one, Tax Free Wealth.
Oh, I haven't read it in totality, but I've seen some parts of that book.
Yeah, so it's like what you were saying was like on point and accurate because you got a lot of free time on your hand. What do you expect to do? What are you gonna do? It was just so much, and I feel like I had been preparing for that moment anyway because
Okay.
years ago my homie was introducing me into the stock market, into cryptocurrency, into like so many different ways to invest. Even like a 52-week challenge was like an initial start for me. Just $1 a week, $2 a week, $3 a week, and watching how that mechanism once you keep it going, man, can't nobody stop that. You can figure out ways to invest. You can get an emergency fund, just different things that expand in my mind where I'm like, I feel like I was prepared for the pandemic or whatnot.
Hmm.
But going on to, I guess you will have to expound on this.
Okay.
Um, it was something where you said, "Let me tell you why I stopped using savings accounts." Thanks.
Yeah, all right. I had a feeling you were gonna bring that one up.
I had to, man, because
No,
because
that
I'm
one really. I To be honest, before we even really get into it, I the reaction to that really surprised me. And I'll tell you why. So, the if I can quote is, let me tell you why. I stopped using savings accounts and started buying bank stocks.
that's
And
that's your book, man.
and look, no, that it did sound like a book title when now that I think about it. But
And it is.
where I got that from, I mean, this came from years ago. Like, so, if we kind of do a rewind, I've been in the financial industry, whether it's internship, first job out of college,
Mhm.
my own business, somehow, some way, been involved in the financial industry at this point for about 11, 12 years,
Okay.
somewhere around in there. And throughout the whole time, I personally, especially early on, I personally fought with credit cards and
Okay.
just trying to manage them and keep a healthy credit score. That was a struggle for me early on,
I feel you.
especially right out of school. And a lot of people really wouldn't like think that now because it's like, oh, Rob knows everything financial. But I mean, there was a point where I didn't.
Yeah.
And so early on, had my own personal struggle. Even though I studied this stuff in college, like my major in this and everything, there still was a gap on my personal financial matters. I know everything in the book and can go work for somebody else, but I hadn't perfected it in my own life.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that annoyed me the most was that I would look at the interest that you would get on the money in your savings account,
Yeah.
and it would be like pennies, like it wouldn't even be $1, right?
Yeah.
And then I look, and in just 1 month, I might have like a maintenance fee on my account that's $5. So immediately in 1 month, not even a whole year of getting $1 worth of interest, but in 1 month, my money being in the savings account was decreasing rather than increasing,
Yeah.
simply from a monthly fee.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, hold on, like, why am I sitting here tripping over 0.03 in interest trying to get that on my money
Mhm.
when y'all actually bleeding me dry with monthly maintenance fees and all these things that were attached to the account? And I won't even say the bank's name, but
Ah,
I I I
$30.
so no, so we gonna go there. It was Bank of America, right? So Bank of America, right? And I'm like, yo, this is really crazy to me. And mind you, I'm in the financial services industry too. I work in this world. And so I started thinking to myself, like, man, there's gotta be a better way. Like, this don't make any sense. Like,
Mm.
why they always tell us to use savings accounts when your money is really not growing and they're just kind of chipping away at it while it's sitting there? And I just was like thinking. And then I got to a point where I was like, all right, I got to figure out a way around this. And I started digging. This was like 2013, 2014 time frame. I
Okay.
was like, man, how can I get the best out of having a bank and working with a bank when I feel like it's either ATM fee or monthly maintenance fee? Like, y'all just chipping at my money all the time.
Then
And
not to add, like you loaning my money out on top of that, and you make it.
you making money on my money that's just sitting there, right? So I'm like, yo, I gotta figure this out. So finally, somebody put, I can't even remember the person, and God bless them because I can't even remember right now. But somebody at some point told me about dividends, right? Just told me the word dividends.
Mhm.
Now you would think somebody that's in economic research, super high level job in the financial world, that I would have at that point known what dividends were and why they were so important, but I didn't. And so I quickly learned that there were companies out there that we either bank with, shop at, whatever, all day, every day, that pay us or that can pay you a dividend, a small portion of money for every single share of a stock that you own. They will pay you on time, every time,
Yeah.
just for owning their stock and investing in their company.
Mm.
So when I learned this, I'm like, what? Like, what's the catch? Like, this can't be real. Like, they just gonna pay you just for owning the stock. Like, you don't gotta do nothing else. And the light bulb went off, and because I thought about, like, well, what happens if I buy Bank of America stock instead of the just using their products? Let me invest in a company.
Mm.
And if I invest in a company, they're gonna pay me to do that. But
Yeah.
if I basic quote unquote buy their product, and I know we don't think about a bank account as a product, but it is a product. If I consume their product, they're going to slowly take money away from me. But if I invest in their company, they're going to slowly give me money.
Yeah.
And once that
That's crazy.
light bulb went off,
Yeah.
I started doing that. And I just did that for me personally. And I would like tell people that, but I don't think I was communicating it effectively because other people's light bulb wasn't going off until over the last couple years. And I realized this is actually, now that I've been doing this a couple years, this is the best thing you could be doing. And I'm the living proof now. It wasn't just a theory before, I've lived it. And so I said, let me bring this back up because now more than ever, everybody's trying to figure out how can I create some extra streams of income, make my money work for me. And one of the ways you could do that, instead of putting your money in their savings account, just buy their shares that are.
Yo, this is Art the Architect with More Than a Haircut podcast. Tune in every Friday for new content. Definitely on Anchor as well as YouTube and on IG. Hit your boy up. It's More Than a Haircut.
Gonna pay you a dividend.
Yeah.
And
That's yeah.
you know that bank is never gonna go out of business because they're never gonna let that bank fail. And you know your dividends is gonna come in like clockwork.
And that's that. Like when you said like you basically putting money in there. It's almost like a subscription service. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you buy, but I learned that dividend talk through like AT&T.
Right.
And
That's another good one.
like how I kind of like learned the dividends and learned the stock was I own an iPhone. Why not own Apple stock? I pay AT&T every damn month. Let me own AT&T. Y'all gotta pay me some back at least. So
Right.
if I can get to a point where you paying me back the same money that I'm putting out, it only makes sense to me, like going forward. And then once I do my research and my study, and I'm like, my AT&T on HBO. Well, damn.
Right.
While y'all talking about what y'all watching on TV, because I don't watch TV. Come on, Bernie.
Run me that check.
Come on. So like, to add to that, like, what's the annual return on the savings account? Since you know what I'm saying, like, you got.
So yeah, no, I literally like got into these numbers, right? So so there's like these big 5 banks in America. So you got Bank of America, Wells Fargo, now a bank called Truist that used to be SunTrust and BB&T, but they merged. Made a bank called Truist.
Okay.
You got did I say Chase already? You got Citibank as well.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Chase.
So Chase and Citibank. So these are like the 5 biggest banks in America as far as what we as consumers use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if people remember back in 2008, the last time the economy got funny, all of the banks got bailed out.
Man, hell.
Like when the real estate market kind of turned upside down, all that stuff, right? And it's not, there's not a rule that they have to be bailed out, but the issue is if the government let them go out of business, it 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 would have strained our financial system so much that even millionaires and billionaires would have lost money, and they're not going to let that happen.
Nah, they
So when it came down to it, I'm like, okay, these banks are basically have a blank check policy with the government all times. But then I started to look at, well, let's see what they pay account holders for the money that they're saving there.
Mm-hmm.
And for these big 5 banks, right? The average interest rate that these savings accounts pay is 0.03%. So let me put that in context. That's 3% of 1%.
That's 3% or 1%.
3% of 1%.
That's
So if you got $100, right? You got $100 in savings account. If you got 1% interest, they will give you $1 for having that $100 there. In this case, if you had $100 in a savings account and you let it sit there for a year, at the end of the year, you would have got 3 cents in interest for $100 sitting there for an entire year.
You can, like I be telling people at work, I make more money doing nothing.
Right. So that's kind of like the average interest rate for those big banks and their savings accounts, right? But then on the flip side, if you got a share of their stock, I know, for instance, JP Morgan Chase, people know Chase Bank, pretty familiar, pretty widespread bank, that they pay it's a little bit over 3% in dividends to you on the money you invest in them. So instead of getting 0.03 in a savings account, you can get a full 3% from a dividend that's being paid to you on an annual basis. But they give it to you quarterly, but it's from what an annual dividend amount is. And so it's like, all right, I can get this. Think about this. I can get 100 times more interest from a dividend than from a savings account. It's literally 100 times more. And so when you hear that, like just like you're hearing it right now, it's like that makes complete sense. And why aren't we taught that? That's the first question.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, where's education from the ground up versus I'm 25, 30, and I'm finally learning this.
Yeah, and the only answer I've been able to find to mind you, I've been looking for this answer for like 10 years because I've been working in this industry for 10 years and I've been just curious, right?
Yeah.
Because I came from single parent, like inner city, I came from the thick of it and just got to a point where my education gave me more opportunities, but I'm still thinking with the mind of being raised in the world I was raised in and knowing how tight money was. But now I see different things because Howard University gave me the opportunity to see different things.
Yeah.
But I'm still in this new world with the experiences of 0 through 18 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
That makes
why isn't, and I know for a fact that none of my peers, people in my neighborhood, aunts, uncles, none of that was ever taught this stuff. And I started to ask, like, why? Because I'm the only person in the family that knows the other side now. Like, and so I'm like, dang, like, why is it like that? And the only thing I could think of, to bring it back full circle, the only thing I could think of is that you have a upper class, a wealthy class that's afraid of what will happen if everybody uses this information and gets a level playing field. Because if you think about it, these same millionaires and billionaires, like, they in some cases benefit from just the position that they're in and people needing their job, needing,
that benefit from ignorance.
yeah, they need things from them. So it's like, all right, you're gonna take this $15 an hour
Mm-hmm.
or less, and you're gonna make it work. But if everybody was financially literate and financially empowered, then you would have a lot more independent business owners and people that don't necessarily need the system that was created, corporate America as we know it.
Yeah.
And then we have certain people that we kind of know who those people are that will have less power and influence over people that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the only thing I've been able to find as far as a reasoning why we aren't taught these things.
It's real, bro.
Because there has to be in America, and I hate to go off on this tangent, but in America,
Nah, man.
because we live in a capitalistic nation, one of the requirements of capitalism is there has to be a poor class.
Yeah.
The only way capitalism works. And unfortunately, because of historically how we were introduced to this country, that we kind of came into the game as the default poor class. And so it's like, all right, in order to change that, somebody else sitting at this table, whether it's a racial group, gender group, somebody at this table is going to have to choose to wear the hat to be the poor class, or our society has to change.
I
Which
want,
one you think gonna come first?
yeah, I want to add to that because, like, a lot of times I agree with, some people came, but also like the people that were already here. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
on top of that, I want to talk about like my pops. My pops is an accountant, and we actually had a conversation where here it is. He's an older man in college.
Mhm.
He's asking questions about the stock market, asking, getting answers, saying things. The instructor, which I want to tell him, fuck him, excuse my French, because here it is. My father knows numbers. He's the one that gave me checks and to put them in order. And now here it is. He telling him to put his hand down and don't ask questions. But my father, I'm like, had he gotten in the stock market in the 70s and the 80s, here it is when the Amazon come on board. He could have put $1,000 on Amazon and it take off. And now he's a probably a billionaire because of
Correct.
the knowledge and the information that he took from, I know what hustle is. Now I know what business is from a corporate standpoint.
Mhm.
Now I'm gonna take off. You know what I'm saying? But like, I also want to add to the since you talk dividends,
Mhm.
I want to ask you about that, and I want to ask you about. So the question on the dividends is this right here. How do you define what dividends are to a third grade? So a third grader can understand.
Okay. Okay.
If you started talking about, okay, share your experience on Howard University as well as Georgetown once you're done with the dividends.
All right. So, how I would explain it to a third grader.
Or just,
I,
like I just
well, no,
yeah,
this is good.
yeah.
So I put it like this: I would tell a third grader because they know what $20 is, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
say
they know
what a
what $10 is.
dividend. So right. So what a dividend is?
Break this $100 now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I would explain to them that this is how a dividend works. You give me $20, and every month I'll give you $1, right? And every time, and if you ever want your $20 back, I'll give it right back to you. But if I give it right back to you, I'm gonna stop giving you $1 a month. That's all it is.
Man, y'all gotta come up with that. Y'all gotta teach that concept, bro. I'm pretty
Yeah,
hard to do, but I'm like, that's interact. You know what I'm saying? That's interactive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you said secondly about Howard and Georgetown.
Yeah.
Um,
Just the experience. Just share briefly on the experience. Like,
yeah, man. I can't talk enough about those two experiences and just kind of how they changed my whole perspective on the world. Coming from Durham, a lot of people don't know a lot about Durham. They hear about Duke University every now and then, and they know it's in Durham. But what a lot of people don't know, especially from our community, is that there was a kind of like a secondary or a second popular
Wall Street.
Black Wall Street
Yeah.
that was in Durham,
Yeah.
aside, kind of in complement to the one that's in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And
Same thing going in Memphis too.
yeah. No, I heard about that when I came to Memphis, and I learned about that. When I came to Memphis a few years ago, but one of the things that I didn't get growing up was that kind of historical education. I was like, I'm from the city, and I didn't even really know a lot about those pieces of history growing up. Just because there's distractions, you growing up, like we was focused on rapping and basketball. Like it wasn't really about like what is that historical information doing for me right now. Like I'm trying to get a cookout tray.
Yeah.
I'm trying to scrounge together my $4 to buy a cookout tray. So that was just growing up. And so when I got to Howard, I saw so many young black people from wealth and affluence that I had never seen before. And when I seen it, I'm like, hold on, like these ain't like all the black people I see where I'm from.
Yeah.
Like it's daughters of lawyers, daughters of doctors, sons of football players. Like it was just like, well, like this is wild. Like I didn't even know we all existed like this out here. And so at that point, there was I always had this thing in my mind that I wanted to get out and do something bigger in life as far as leaving my neighborhood, leaving my city, and just kind of seeing the world. And I always had that in the back of my mind. I just didn't know how or what was going to take me there. Early, I thought it was basketball,
Yeah.
and that just that got me to college, if you will. But then in college, like at Howard, I just learned a whole nother different value for myself, like what I wanted for me, like things that I thought was quote unquote cool was like, nah, that's actually destructive to our community. Like certain just things, it just was like a wake up call. And it was so many people that I was seeing every day that was like professors or students or icons coming through campus, like that were just walking through campus. And I'm like, why is Colin Powell like walking into our A building, and why is Condoleezza Rice in the auditorium right now? Like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Like, these are people
Imagine, bro.
I seen on TV. Like, why are they like walking on the same sidewalk as me? And it just was a mind warp, if you will. And so at that, in those experiences and seeing some of these people that you usually see on 60 Minutes or whatever, it was like, man, I'm in the right place. Like I their opportunity got to be somewhere near me right now.
Yeah.
Because these people wouldn't be around if it wasn't great things going on. And I just soaked up that whole experience. That 4 years was the most transformational 4 years of my life. Um, just with just learning myself, knowing my history. I learned more about Black Wall Street in Durham as a Howard student than I learned growing up in Durham. And so it was that was really what put the fuel on the fire as far as that spark that I did have in me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm really going to set out and do something to bring a lot of information I'm learning in college and through some of these experiences back to the people that come from where I come from, metaphorically. And so that's when I decided I'm going to learn this money thing as best as I can learn it, because it's something that was just grab my curiosity. And then got into the working world, got the rude awakening, that the rest of the world isn't like Howard. And I'm like, oh shit, like I gotta code switch, like I gotta like be somebody different
Mhm.
in the workplace, and I gotta do this for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Hold on, like, well, like, what's this about? Like, I thought I was gonna be able to be myself and just contribute what I contribute and not jump through hoops, possibly because of what I look like.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, what's the best way around it? And at that moment, 22, 23, 24, it was like, maybe I need another degree. I need something that kind of set me apart and give me more opportunities. So at that point, I thought the best option was, let me go get some more education. What's something I want to learn about? Was got to be something money related. But I chose real estate, and I chose to go back to school and went to Georgetown across town to
Right.
get a master's in real estate finance.
Damn.
And and so then in that experience, then I was like, there's a couple of things that happened during that just blew the ceiling off the place. When one of the first experiences I had at Georgetown is I got a chance to go to this exclusive, only it wasn't even a town hall, it was like an exclusive, like, personal private meeting with what, quote unquote, Warren Buffett and friends.
Mm.
And so in that experience, I got into that room because I got someone to write me a recommendation letter to go to Georgetown, who was like really kind of high up in the Georgetown world.
Yeah.
And because he wrote my recommendation, the president of Georgetown invited me to this conversation with Warren Buffett and also the CEO of Bank of America. Now, as I was telling you, right, I
Yeah.
already had a bone to pick with Bank of America
You slap him.
because with the savings accounts,
Yeah.
I had a credit card balance,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I need to hear from who
Yo,
running this
right now.
business, is a headache to me, right? Like, so I wanted to hear from Warren Buffett, because I knew at that point he was worth like $60 billion, and that's just a Google away. I was like, I gotta hear what he talking about.
Mhm.
But then there's this other guy who I learned that Warren Buffett kind of controls, who's the CEO of Bank of America. And I wanted to learn, like, like, who is this person?
Mm.
Like, do I am I even gonna like this person? Because right now the company that you run is giving me issues.
Yeah.
So I that's why I went when I went, or excuse me, that's why I went. And so that when I got there, just the conversation, just hearing about, man, like, I put it like this. Like, the one thing that I always remember from that day, that I'm really every day trying to really focus on how I'm gonna do,
Mhm.
is that Warren Buffett says that the only people that win in life are those that can plan 20 or 30 years down the line. He's
Damn.
like,
Thank you.
what we doing today, I was thinking about in 1990. And he's like, and he's like, a lot of people think that money can stop you from thinking that far ahead when it can't. He's like,
Yeah,
I
when you
came,
can't or when you can.
it can't.
Oh yeah.
Like, the amount of money in your bank account can't stop you from thinking about life 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, it can't stop you. But a lot of people allow it to say, man, I can't think that far. I'm trying to just worry about next week. And that's a story that we tell ourselves, which isn't true.
Uh-huh.
And so when he was talking about that, because he was talking about, like, because somebody asked, like, how do you manage your wealth, and how do you make decisions about money when you don't have anybody to, like, cheat off of, per se? Like, you're at the front of the train. How do you know how to navigate when everybody's looking to you for financial advice? He's like, well, basically, I just let what I would like to see happen 30 years from now drive my decisions.
Damn.
Like, he's
Damn.
like, he's like, when I see people in society that need this or need that, or there's a certain product that the world can't live without, and it seems like it's going to be like that for a while,
Yeah,
that's
that
what I'll invest in.
makes
And so it was so simple, right? So then, to wrap this story up, the part that just blew my mind was like, man, I really gotta put my foot to the metal with just this financial literacy thing. Was that in the conversation, he said that the reason he invested in Bank of America was because Bank of America had figured out a way to make money for the next 20 or 30 years by making sure their bank as a business was based off of fees on the consumer as one of their main ways to make profit. And I said, well, hold on, whoa.
They,
Because
they
it
brought
all connected at that moment.
they, they brought it home for you and your education.
Because at that moment, that's the one thing I couldn't figure out how to get around. And that was the very reason why when the government called Warren Buffett to save one of these banks in 2008,
Okay.
Warren Buffett looked at the 5 that were in the group and said, oh, I'll pick Bank of America because he saw how Bank of America made money. And it was different from the other ones in the group. And he said, oh, they make money in a way where I know I continuously get some dividends because they have a business model that's fee first. And so hearing that, I'm like, oh, snap. Like, he just gave away the game. And I'm looking around like, did everybody else just hear what I just heard?
They probably didn't know because they didn't experience what you were experiencing.
Right. And that gave me, I'm like, oh shit, they heard that, but they didn't feel that.
And that's what you were telling your people about. Okay, you only gonna make 3% on the 1%, and then that didn't. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like, man, and I'm like, I'm the only one. I'm one of the youngest people in this room, one of the only people of color in that room. And I thought to myself, there's a reason I'm here today.
Yeah.
There's a reason that I got this message to take to everybody else that may need to hear this message. And that was one of the events that I was like, man, this is my torch to carry. And I just decided to go 100% in that direction and get more into financial education, get more into financial literacy, not just be a financial advisor and do financial services, but also educate people on money. Because I always tell people it's one thing to provide someone with a service, it's another thing to empower someone to be able to serve themselves. And so I wanted to get away from just giving somebody an account or a life insurance policy. And it's like, no, this is how money works. This is how you can grow your money. This is how you can create a passive income. This is how you can chip away and pay down your debt. Like those are the things I wanted to focus on, not the things that you really got to be financially educated to understand the value of. So that was really like some turning points in my story that like I still think about every day to day, because it's like, man, I'm just a little boy from Durham, North Carolina that got into some powerful spaces with some powerful people, and now it's my job to tell the world from my experience.
And we need that book called Hand to Hand Comeback, bro. Because that, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying like that alone, that's a chapter right there alone.
Yeah, man.
It's like I feel like, all right, so when I reference the whole thing with the I say the financial education, I reference like 4 people.
Okay.
One of those people is my homeboy Wall Street Truck. Another one is Ashley Fox. When I heard the Empower and Modify.
Right.
The other one is Jeremiah Brown. You know what I'm saying? He got a cold book.
I can't place his face, but I definitely seen that name.
He out in California, originally from New York.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I connect that. And then Robert Kiyosaki. Because I learned so much by fucking up. I'm gonna be real. Got put out of college and shit. My pops was like, come here, you little dumb motherfucker. You wanna be stupid? You wanna come on, work for free. I'm like, work for free, motherfucker?
Right.
But when he gave me Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's like, okay. Didn't get understanding at first, but it's just everything. Oh, this what gold is. This what silver is. This why I invest. This it made, you know what I'm saying? It made sense. But I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate that Howard experience on what you were saying and what you were sharing, because it's like, oh, okay, now I see why. Oh, stay consistent. You got the foresight and you got a vision of what you see in the next 30 years. You staying consistent on a regular basis to whether that's investing in the coat. You've been doing it this long. Now you saying Bank of America, I'm gonna say this because of the fees. And that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like these things happen for a reason along your journey.
Right, man. man.
I had I just had something like that with my homegirl Audrey Richmond. When she asked me, she's originally from Memphis, she does marketing. She asked me about like what does architect mean? I was like, architect got something to do with foundation and blueprint. And the art of architect comes from my brother saying, all right, architect. Shit, my granddaddy did construction and carpentry work. My other grandfather was a barber, he did carpentry. So it's like that whole time, I'm like, damn. Then I had a conversation with Dame Dash, and he was like, architect your life, architect your life, architect your life. And I'm like,
Mm,
build your life, build your life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that journey is real, man.
it
And
all connects.
it all connects, man. So on to the next one, as Jay would say. With Atlanta being a black tech hub, who have you been able to network with to find research in the tech community?
Wow. There's a lot of great people in Atlanta in the tech scene. I gotta say, first and foremost, Joey Womack. I think Joey's last name is Womack.
He
He's
and the
with
can
Goody
about it.
Nation.
He and the can about it. I'm
I don't know.
I brought you.
I don't know. I don't know. Uh, Jewel Burke Solomon. Jewel, she heads up Google for Startups. Me and Jewel actually went to Howard together. I know Jewel from Howard.
I need these names in the list, bro.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Salama with Sala Vegan. In this video, I am preparing a raw kale salad, which is one of our signature salads. And it's just raw kale, red onions, chopped up some green onions in there as well, red bell peppers, jalapenos for spice. I always gotta add some peppers in there, and our Sala Vegan salad sauce, which has a lot of flavor. If you're interested in ordering meal prep with us, just send me a DM on Instagram and we can set that up for you. Peace and love.
So we got Joel, we got Jewel. This is one that's hard to forget. Savanzil Dondrico. So Savanzil, first of all, it's a name you can't forget.
That's
He
a
goes by the visionary filmmaker.
wow.
He has documented what I believe is almost every single black tech event in the country over the last 3 years. He has documented, been there, taking pictures, talking to people, interviewing people, from high level VCs and CEOs down to the person who just started their business last year and just got all the different stories, right?
Yeah.
So between these three people, between visionary filmmaker, Jewel, and Joey, they have personally somehow, some way connected me with everybody that I've grown to know in
Okay.
this Atlanta ecosystem over the last 2 or 3 years. And amazing connections, amazing people, purpose driven.
Yeah.
But we're now figuring out how to put millions and billions behind our purpose and behind our passion,
Mm.
and we're just connecting those dots as a community, as a kind of like a community of creatives that are like creating solutions for all types of walks of life. And that those three have been kind of the core of like all my connections. But I'll say one of the most important people out of all the people that I've met, that I connected with, actually is super inspiring. Her name is Doll Avant.
Okay.
And me and Doll, we ended up on AJC cover together
Mhm.
last February for Black History Month. Last February they were highlighting Black tech, and so me and Doll were on the cover. And she has her business called Aqua Genuity, and she has been somebody who's just been an inspiration. We sat down, did an interview together with the visionary filmmaker, and she's been somebody that we talked, we worked in the offices right beside each other for about a year. And she's just been really helpful with just helping me kind of visualize what I want to create and seeing what she's taken from scratch and helping the world get clean water in all places. And that's kind of her mission. So those are just some names I can think of, that some really great, impactful people that I've just grown to learn just for pursuing education in financial technology.
Damn. Oh man.
And it's so many great people out here.
I, that's why I was like, I know you got a plethora of people that you can be like, and
yeah, and I know I'm leaving people out right now, and I'm blanking right now, and I know they're gonna be mad at me, but yeah, it's just, I think one of the best ways to get connected with these folks, I think that's important too in this day and age. When life is kind of different, and you might not brush by people at events right now. I think one of the best ways to just learn about what's going on is to hear from these conversations on Clubhouse,
yeah,
and you just connect with people on Instagram,
man.
and making sure that you just get connected, because there's so many resources out here that you'll never think of.
I
So
just
when you sent,
I just
talk about the coding.
yeah,
So when you sent that to me,
that video,
that video with the Rubik's Cube,
man,
first of all, my mind was blown. Like, how do you even
man,
begin to make that?
yeah,
But the second thought that I had was that on a youth level, there's a huge movement on the youth level with technology, also by way of esports. That's bubbling in Atlanta, and one of the first people, even though it's not directly in robotics coding,
yeah.
Ryan Cameron. I had an office right. So me, I don't know if you know Ryan.
I've heard of the name. I hear a lot of people talking about him. I haven't been, you know what I'm saying? I haven't been introduced
Okay.
on the front, you know what I mean?
So it was literally Ryan, me, and Dahl, and we were all in the same row. We used to be in WeWork. We've all kind of left that location,
Yeah,
but we used to just have regular conversations. But some of the things he's been doing, like he's been working with Offset, just
yeah,
getting kids involved with video games.
yeah,
Had an event, like, and he's been helping a lot of kids find opportunity in technology, period, not just video games, but just opportunity in technology, whether it's programs around Atlanta, grant programs, all types of different things that kids can partake in, especially if you might not have the finances to pay for a lot of programs out there.
yeah.
And so Ryan's been great in that space, and that's one of the first people I thought of when you sent me that video.
Man, it's amazing to see that and to see like the light bulb go off in people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's amazing. Um, Another question. How much are we good on time?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
So, who introduced you to the financial spectrum when it comes to business? Also, what made you become more tech savvy?
Oh man, who introduced me to the finance? I would say, man, I gotta go way back. It's
Okay.
actually my mom.
Wow. Okay.
All right, so growing up in Durham, my mom actually worked for one of the black-owned banks in Durham,
Okay.
and at the time, I didn't really understand the significance of a black-owned bank. To be honest, I thought it was normal because that's kind of something that was always in my neighborhood growing up.
Mhm.
And it was kind of one of the remaining remnants of Black Wall Street from the early 1900s. There was still two black banks in the city: Mechanics and Farmers Bank
Mhm.
and North Carolina Mutual Community Savings Bank. So, and North Carolina Mutual is also an insurance company too. So there was a relationship between all these financial institutions that were based in Durham. But my mom used to work for, she used to be a branch manager. And one of the things she always gave me to do, because sometimes she couldn't afford to send me to summer camp when school was out, she
Mhm.
would take me to work with her.
Yeah.
And she would sit me down in the break room and give me nickels and pennies to count all day. And all I would do was count, right? Like, and that, like, literally, I'm telling you, like,
No, I know.
eight,
I know.
9, 10, 11 years old, I was sitting in that break room counting coins all day. And to a point, I was making games. I was like, it was all type of stuff I was trying just to pass time.
They said, "Well,
And
I got $1."
yeah, just like all types of stuff. And when I fast forwarded in life and I was trying to pick a major, and I was like, man, oh, I'm good at counting, I'm good at numbers. Let me try to find a class that it can be about money because I'm still curious about money and like I can use some numbers, but not but I didn't want to I didn't want to be a math major.
Yeah,
So somebody told me, oh, you should take an economics class. And at that point I really didn't know what economics was.
household management. I already know.
Shout out to Dr. Spriggs, the head of the economics department in Howard. I walked up into his office. I said, I think I want to major in economics. And he laughed at me. He's like, if you think you want to major in economics, you thought wrong. You need to, because most people don't even like it and they got to take it. And if you think you want to take this, you're probably not going to be successful.
Yeah,
And that's all I needed to hear because now I have somebody to prove wrong. And him saying that, I was like, man, I'm taking this class. You're not just gonna tell me that I can't take this class. Like I'm not gonna pass this class. Like, and I think he was kind of messing with me.
hmm
And and in that class, man, that first semester econ one, introduction to econ, it just came naturally. And I'm like, he just saying stuff. I'm like, oh, that's easy. And everybody else in the class,
want to get
all
it.
these school of business majors, they're like, you get this stuff? You understand? Like, I'm like, yeah, this is easy. This is simple. Like, and I didn't even know. Like, I'm trying to keep up with everybody else, and I'm the only one that know all this stuff. And I'm kind of naturally picking it up. So I'm getting like 95, 96 on the test, and I'm not even studying. Like, I'm not even looking at the book. I'm just like, oh, he said this the other day. I remember this. Oh yeah, like this B.
Yeah,
Like, and so got to a point, everybody in the class is depending on me to pass. They're like, Rob, you got to come on test day. We got to all work together on this test, right? And everybody knew me. Second semester freshman year, like Rob knows all the econ answers. Everybody passed the class.
yeah,
And that's when people really started to say, like, man, you know this stuff.
yeah.
And then me hearing that
That was my.
convinced me that, oh, maybe this is my thing. Like I didn't think that originally. I wasn't that confident. But then when people started to say that to me, I'm like, oh man, maybe this is my thing. Like this all just comes naturally to me. This ain't hard. I don't even have to study, and I'm acing these tests.
Yeah,
And I just press the gas and never look back.
man. That I feel like I connect with that from a couple of different angles. Like, um, one was my pops. He used to tell me about this dude, Maceo Walker, which it was. I think he was a part of Tri-State Bank back in Memphis.
Okay.
It made me tie back into that. What is that? Black Wall Street too. But my father used to give me a stack of checks, about 1,000 or 10,000 on me at a time. Here you go,
Uh-huh.
son. Put these checks in order, right? I'm
Uh-huh.
like, man, are you crazy as hell? I'm like 8, 9, 10. Like
Yeah.
said, you putting these nickels in order. I know that would connect when you went to school.
Right.
I'm in math class. The teacher asks a question, and I give her the answer, and she like, other students like, how you figure that out? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
she was my friend. She, nigga, did your dad didn't make you put these checks in order? So the numbers, when I hear a number, it's like my mind is like a computer because of what my pops laid for
Gotcha.
foundation. Because he big into finance, he worked in the banks and different things of such. So it's just like that connection I can see. I
Mm-hmm.
know what you mean by just being in class and you ain't having to really study. It's a natural and it's an innate, you know what I'm saying? It's an
Right, right.
innate thing in you. So man, that's it's power that we sometimes don't recognize and piggyback off of.
I agree, man. I supremely agree. And sometimes one of the things I think that can really just improve our community from top to bottom is we just got to find a way collectively to give younger kids more opportunities to discover their genius like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like every child has a genius in them.
Every
And it's
time.
just like they just got to have different types of experiences to really be exposed to what it is because they might not even know what it is.
Mm.
And it's like, how can we, as role models, parents, aunts, uncles, whatever we may be to a youth out there, like how can we create opportunities for them to possibly discover what their genius is? Um, And because it happened for me in college. Well, what if I never had the opportunity to go to college? Then it might not have ever happened.
Hell,
So
I think about that with my boy Wall Street Trapper. He didn't
right,
he found out in prison about
right,
the stock market.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So just imagine had he got that early on where
Hmm.
he like, well, if you look at some baking soda, we out here messing with it in the street. Man, you need to go and invest into this. Y'all talking about going to the club. Man, go and invest in the Hennessy. We finna drink, we finna get a bottle for God knows how much. And we finna basically throw the money, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
So I got 5 names.
Okay.
I just need one word when I call out the name.
Okay.
Just test, you know what I'm saying? Testing your
Yeah,
pimp.
yeah.
We gotta probably call it now.
All right, let's get it.
First, I'm gonna do the lady. I'm gonna do ladies first. Ashley Fox. One word.
Impeccable.
All right. Uh, Marcus Garvey.
Right.
Okay. Reginald Lewis.
I don't got one word, but money. I guess it got to be money. I guess,
You just said.
yeah. He was the first.
Yeah. Michael Jordan.
Excellence.
Dame Dash.
Pioneer.
Mm. Hey, that's cold. Okay. Since we brought the queen up first,
Hmm.
I say goddess. Okay, where were you when you got the phone call, email, or message that you were a part of Amplify?
Where was I? So
You can be mentally or you know what I'm saying in the physical.
yeah. I was mentally I was in a space where um both me and her had quit our jobs. We walked away from corporate America. Um I walked away from my economic firm. She walked away from JP Morgan. And she's like, I just want to change the world. Like
Yeah,
I just want to do something big.
she got a cape on her back for real.
And I told her, I was like, man, I got that urge too. Like this corporate life that we trained ourselves to be a part of just wasn't for us.
Mhm.
And and I remember her saying, like, yeah, I was trying out these different combinations of words on this website I found, and
Mhm.
I came up with this word. And I'm like, what's the word? She was like, it's amplified. I was like, what the heck does that mean? Like, what is that? And she was like, if you put empower and modify together, you get amplified. And I was like, oh, that's kind of deep, right? And I was like, well, why empower and modify? And she's like, you know how we always are talking about like things, we just got to change the dynamics of our community. She was like, instead of using change, I use modify, and I put that in there. And then, of course, we already know is that it's the empowerment never stops with helping people and changing people's lives. So we definitely got to empower people with the financial knowledge we've gotten to this point in life.
Got to.
And she's like, when she said it, I'm like, man, that's an amazing idea. And we didn't know exactly how we were going to do it, but I told her, I was like, man, however you see that playing out, man, I'm down. Like
Mm.
I want to be a part of that, and however I can help, I'm with it. And so the first thing we did with that word is that's the name or the title that we gave for our team of financial advisors that weren't working with and training at that point. Now that we got our licenses, we were individually our own kind of bosses and as far as independent financial advisors. And I opened an office in DC.
Uh-huh.
She simultaneously opened an office in Philadelphia,
Okay.
where we had people that look like us and our age coming in trying to figure out their money. And we started to train and help other people get licensed in insurance and investments. And we called our team of financial advisors, which was all pretty much Black people 25 to 35 working together. We called our team Amplify, as far as our financial advisory team. and that was the first time it was used, kind of in an official way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of, in our own different ways, in our own different spaces, we both decided to leave financial services behind
Yeah.
and get into financial education.
Yeah.
And that's where the company that is today, Amplify, was formed in that process.
Man, that's cool, bro. Like I can't wait to see the 30-year plan from y'all. You dig what I'm saying? Where it's like
Yeah, man.
to to hear thus far, like the conversation from I've been I feel like I be studying her as well as like Trap. Now you know what I'm saying? It's just like for me to hear this info, it's more or less like insight from my master degree for me. Cause I do more universal learning as far as like books that I pick up on. I might hear some and
Okay.
it's more natural. Like my brother the same way. If it wasn't for him introducing me to Fox, I'm like, where would I be on this journey? You know what I'm saying? Outside of my homeboy that introduced me to, the financial literacy on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's great to hear that, man. And I only got a few more questions, but it's this has been definitely dope, man, to see. And it's crazy. I interviewed another Rob that introduced me. The dude name was Rob that introduced me to Rob, and here you go, Rob too. So,
That's crazy.
what are a few gems that you gathered from Nipsey Hussle?
Woo. Oh man. Nip. Um, man, I think one of the biggest ones, well, yeah, I'd say one of the biggest ones was actually in the form of a book, one of his favorite books.
Kentucky.
He put out, I don't know if he put it out before he passed or somebody put it out on his behalf afterwards, but there's this Nipsey Hussle reading list.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of his
I had
favorite books.
I had put that list out too.
And the book, The Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah, I read that junk.
That book, man, that book did something to me, man. I'm still kind of learning all the ways that really impacted me, but I think that was a gem within a gem as
Yeah,
far as something that came from Nipsey's way. But I
yeah.
guess real time, um, one of the things that always comes to my mind, he was doing this interview. Well, I think he was doing an interview with Big Boy out in L.A. And he had asked him, like, basically how he became successful in the rap game, and he said that I experienced every emotion. I experienced pain, sorrow, guilt, shame, pride, everything. I experienced every emotion, but the one thing that I did is I never quit.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said, I'd be lying to you if I told you I had it all figured out. But every day it's just like he worked to figure it out. And I think for me, I'm the same way. Like, so many people think I got it figured out just because I'm calm and composed in a lot of stressful scenarios. But I kind of learned that just from being in rougher scenarios growing up. It's like, this ain't gonna make me sweat. Like, I've been through way rougher days than this.
Mm-hmm.
And but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean I don't experience a range of emotions internally. But that was the one thing I was like, man, when I heard him say that, I'm like, man, I can relate to that. Like, I'm not crazy for some days wanting to quit. I'm not crazy for that.
Mm-hmm.
We all had that feeling sometimes, but it was one of the things that he was like, man, we just made sure we kept going even when you felt those things and was uncertain. And I think that's something I personally embody and I live by every day. And thankful for him for sharing that message, because it made me a believer in my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm on the right track. To somebody like that who I have respect for, who I understand their values and where their values came from. Like, I get that. And to hear him say that and to reach the level that he's reached, all right, I'm right for feeling the same way at times.
Yeah.
And I'm on the right track with the things that are in my future. So I think that was one of the big gems I got from Nipsey, just in the form of his interviews. But of course, I love his music too.
Yeah.
And he got gems in every song.
Listen, man, it'd be days where I just be like, man, what was the protection? But then I'm like, hey, he gave enough gems to where it's like it's gonna be 2 and 3 years from now. People gonna start seeing Nipsey Hussle name on stuff.
Right.
They're not gonna realize what he was doing. Like I give you an example, and you may haven't heard of it. It's an app called Vest, VEZT,
Okay.
like Invest.
Okay.
And basically, it's called ISO, Initial Song Offering.
Hmm.
If I'm an artist, I got a song that I want to promote to the market. You know,
Okay.
I can actually do like a crowdfunding and say I'm looking to raise $1,000 for this particular song. Put it on the market, scale it or whatnot. People invest into it. They actually have ownership of the song, whatever percentage they decide to buy. Somebody can come with $1,000. Somebody can come with 100. Somebody can come with 10.
Okay.
So he was a brand ambassador for the company.
Oh, all right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've actually made some money from
Dang.
investing into a song like Crush on You.
Okay.
Every time it plays on Netflix, radio,
Or
TV, whatever it plays, I'm gonna get a percentage because they offered the publishing up front, you know what I'm saying, to own
yeah.
it. So it's just like it's so many
Man,
what you know what I'm saying? It's so many
that's
different
crazy.
yeah, but
I ain't never heard about that.
I seen the info on it, but it's just like
Okay.
just imagine I'm seeing all these artists give their publishing away or the masters to their work.
Hmm.
Really pennies on the dollars if you ask me, and I might be wrong, but I'm like, here it is, talking about 30 years from now.
Yep.
Happens 30 years from now when you're not performing or you can't
Hmm.
perform because you're down or you're ill or whatnot. And you could really be making money. You could really be making money while you're sitting down.
Look.
And people you could go back and take music from your catalog, create a movie from it, create a book or whatever. You can
Hmm.
create a pain from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just things like that. That's just one thing. Or
Correct.
the art pavilion that you know what I'm saying, that he was attached to. It's just like
Yeah,
it's
man. It's
wow.
I think one of the things that our community has to learn that nobody's going to do for us because nobody else has the culture to have an incentive to do it for themselves is that we have to take ownership and responsibility of figuring out how to monetize our artistic value. Like like I know the conversation a lot of times goes in the direction of how we can either stream better or get record companies to do right by artists and things of that nature, which I get, and there does need to be some accountability in that space. But just as you explained, and in other ways, we all know we have artistic gifts in some shape, form, or fashion. A lot of us do,
Mm,
whether it's drawing, singing, rapping, whatever it may be. And the thing that we have to focus on that nobody else can teach us how to do is how to monetize our gift. And what I mean by that is to say, okay, if I know I'm a great artist and I can paint the best pictures possible with a pencil, I need to find a pencil company out there and learn how to make a connection with that company to say, hey, I'm willing to help you all advertise your pencils by showing the world the type of pictures that you can draw with your pencils.
mm,
And that that type of connection, that's financial literacy at the end of the day. Learning how to monetize your natural gift is a form of financial literacy. So it's not the most common because it might not apply to everyone. But figuring out, all right, how can I make sure I get the value that my work obviously has because people want it or people are influenced by it. How can I make sure that I can get the value out of it? And that's a learning process that we have to figure out for ourselves.
mm.
And that's what our focus should be on more times than not, so that we don't need a record company.
Yeah.
I
We are
can I can make a great song, make a TikTok, have a dope looking shirt on it, and everybody's like, man, I want that shirt, and sell the shirt by using my dancing gift or my rapping gift on a TikTok and sell a shirt and monetize my gift that way. But somebody has to say, hold on. People liked I was dancing, but also people was asking me, Hey, where you get them sweatpants from? Once you realize that people
That's
want what you have just because what you can do, that's what we got to figure out how we can monetize, make money from that relationship. And it's a long term journey that happen overnight. But I
hmm
think that's where we should put a lot of our focus as a community and get rid of the middleman.
man. I'm proud to pay for the middleman, as my boy say.
Yeah.
Um, that's that's real, man. The last, it's not even a question. It's more
Okay.
or less like I'd rather say like this probably is the last point, going into the shape of, you know what I'm saying, which is like the final piece.
Okay.
Um, fintech. Cause I'm learning more about it because
Hmm.
don't laugh, man. In the past, I'm from Memphis, man. It was crazy. Just letting it be known.
All right.
When I heard tech, I didn't associate technology with it.
Right. Right.
Hey, Georgia Tech. I want to go play basketball at that ball. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody was telling me engineering, and I'm doing engineering and all kinds of stuff back home. But
Okay.
what 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 do you see the space with fintech? I'll tell you, I'm seeing how fintech may challenge the banking system.
Hmm.
Or what do you see when I say from your vantage point on what you've been through and what you've experienced going forward?
So I think fintech. Well, let me first explain what I think fintech is. Then I'll say what I think fintech is going to do.
Yeah.
So fintech is any form of modern technology, mainly apps, in some cases websites, giving you the ability to move, manage, or spend money.
Okay.
That's all it is. So any app or form of technology that helps you move, manage, or spend money.
Mhm.
That's all fintech is. So then when I think about, all right, right now in today's world, who moves, manages, and helps you spend money? Let me just think about this. We got banks,
Yep.
we got the credit card, the Visa, MasterCard, American Expresses of the world, as far as the spending end of it, PayPal, which is kind of going in the fintech direction. But we got these companies that do it now. But imagine if that you could go to Amplify.com and instead of going to college to learn about money,
Right.
you go to Amplify. So a lot of people think about fintech disrupting banks and
Yeah.
financial institutions,
And oh
but you got to think about fintech can disrupt education.
yeah.
Fintech can disrupt your professional services at your job and in your employer. Like it permeates through a lot of different industries, not just banking. Banking is one of the bigger ones we all obviously know, but I think over the next 5 to 10 years, especially not just generally in fintech, but especially now that more African Americans and people of color are establishing their own solutions for their communities that they know much better than these big Fortune 500 companies know their communities. Is that what I think is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is that we're going to kind of just circumvent and hop over the black bank discussion because there's a lot of heavy lifting and literally brick and mortar that's needed for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to jump right into
Fintech.
black educational technology app, black financial technology app like Sheena has, Sheena Robinson, and in figuring out how we can do business with each other easier and not have to go to anybody's branch to do business. So, like for instance, we got like Cash App,
Mm-hmm.
Zelle,
Yeah.
things of that nature. Like I really do believe, based on just historical, social factors, racial issues in America, that there will be a black-owned version of those types of entities that we will start to use more frequently
Mhm.
Killer Mike just created one with Greenwood,
Yeah.
and that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's about to be 50 more behind Greenwood,
Yeah. Yeah. I see
and
smoking kicked in.
so like the people have to understand like that is not an exception. That is the new rule.
Yeah.
Like that's how everybody's coming after that
Mhm.
because it's like how what Greenwood is about to accomplish, Citizens Trust dreams of accomplishing.
Yeah.
So as far as new accounts, new people using their services, it's like, oh, I can get it on the phone. I don't have to go to a branch to fill out a piece of paper application. Like I can do this on my phone in 5 minutes. So the speed of it is
Speed.
really just going to change the landscape of everything.
Mm. 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 Yeah. That's
So
making.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it,
That's making me think about that crypto space, also that blockchain technology, which I
right,
talk to my children about like every day.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But
And this is the one thing. Now, I'm gonna tell everybody how we gonna solve the entertainment gap, the money gap in the entertainment world. I'm gonna tell everybody right now. Heard it first on your podcast. Is that all that needs to happen? And I know I say all like it's small, but I'm just telling you, it might take 5, maybe 10 years. If there is a cryptocurrency coin that is created that is specifically for black businesses to exchange funds, exchange goods, buy, sell between each other. If there's a specific coin that is accepted and used by all black businesses, we can fix almost every financial wealth gap in our community in 20, 25 years. Once we use our own kind of form of currency and coin to buy and sell between each other in a way that other entities that we know kind of control the world can't interfere with how we do business with each other in a way where we can still exchange value that we can spend and buy our needed goods that we buy every day in our life, because now we're seeing PayPal, Amazon, things of that nature start to accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if we did that, other communities and companies, Fortune 500 companies, will be begging us to be a part of it rather than us begging them to just hear us out.
oh, it's called.
Um, and so, like, think about uh, in the essence of Bitcoin. Let's just think something was called Black Coin, and all right, I'm about to go get a tattoo. Oh, I'm about to go get a haircut. Oh, I'm about to go get me a fish plate. Whatever it is, and we're spending Black Coin with each other, and we can go live our life and buy what we need with the same digital currency. And it's a way that we can have more control of how money moves in our community, because that's the elephant in the room is that, oh, money doesn't stay in the black community but 6 hours when it goes through plenty of people's hands in other communities. Because you want to know what that 6 hours is, and I'm gonna be done with my rant.
Oh, you cool.
The 6 hours that money circulates in our community before it leaves our community,
Uh-huh.
that 6 hours is the estimated time that it takes to do your hair. Because hair is the number one service that black people get from black people.
Yeah.
Whether it's a haircut in your barber
Yeah.
or your stylist, if you're a woman and you go to a salon,
Mhm.
that 6 hour time period is what their calculation was for us and our hair, because there's no other way that we consistently spend with each other outside of that.
Man,
Think about that.
yeah, I'm speechless because I got yeah, I have some ideas just because I've been in that space in the crypto space for a while and seeing how it's operating and working. And you cover some of the points that I thought about too. So
Yeah, no, it's real. Like
I know,
barbers,
I know.
as you may already know,
Yeah,
and stop. They're the number one recipient of black dollars in America right now.
yep.
No, there's no other type of black business that gets more money from other black people.
Mm-hmm.
In second place, and it's way back in second place, is food.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is hair. Number two is food. as far as black restaurants and mom and pop soul food spots.
Mm.
Outside of that, there's no other consistent way that black people are always spending money with black people.
Man.
It's crazy. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. So like I know we'll go on forever. I'm gonna shoot you another once we're done. But
All right.
the last but not least, just introduce yourself, tell people where they can find you and, communicate and contact with you. And this is, this is the shape up right here. Just do that and then just leave a word, just a word that you may live by, just some encouragement, man.
All right, for sure. Well, you can connect with me. I'm most frequently on Instagram, Twitter. On both of those platforms is the Rob Boyd. There's a lot of Rob Boys out in the world, but I am the Rob Boyd. And you can also find me on LinkedIn if you want to connect on the business end. On LinkedIn, it's just Rob Boyd. I also have a Facebook page.
Okay.
But those are some of the main ways you can connect with me on social. But then also for our Wealth Builders community, which is a community of like-minded people looking to learn more about money. And we have an app that comes along with it. You can find it at Wealth Builders Community on Instagram. And those are the main ways to connect with me, link up with me in any way, to talk about things you want to do together, got a quick question, whatever it may be. And I think one of the things currently that I'm living by, and that life has really just taught me, is that a lot, and I think this is definitely a great way to look at the world following up 2020, is that a lot of people that might not be able to be here today to enjoy life the way that we're enjoying life. I think we owe it to them to carry the torch and operate in a way where they'll be proud of us. They look down on us and be proud of everything that we're attempting to do, accomplishing, growing through, growing over. And I always think about certain people that are here to experience what we have been blessed to experience as far as life and every day. And I always think to myself, instead of being down and sad about them no longer being here, to be grateful and happy about the idea that you're able to carry the torch for them, do it in their honor. And that's one of the things that's really just been sitting with me from those that we lost in 2020 and before then. We have a almost an obligation to push the culture forward for them, being that they're not here to help us do it.
For sure, man. Definitely appreciate that word. And hey man, this is pretty much a wrap. This is Rob Boyd. Definitely appreciate it. I am Art the Architect. This is More Than a Haircut podcast. Be sure to subscribe, you know what I'm saying, on not iTunes, but Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. So again, man, I appreciate, your time, bro. And we're gonna connect and build from here, man, because I got some things that I got, man. I gotta get you a part of, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the conversation. This was an amazing convo.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, peace, bro.